Hi, so been quite a long time. So I'm just gonna do a look at the comics that I've bought in the past 2 weeks and give like a review of them. I've had some wine, so it could be interesting. So the first one is issue 1 of Alpha Flight. Some I'll get some will get out of the back of the comic bag, others I won't. But this is issue 1 of Alpha Flight. It's by Ed Brisson and somebody Godlewski. Artwork's good. It's okay. It's serviceable. Story's really good. Alpha Flight is one of my favourite Marvel teams. I'd say it goes in order of New Mutants, Defenders, and then Alpha Flight, and then X-Men, and so on and so on. So yeah. Now I did say I'm stopping Marvel in physical format. The only ones I'm going to get in physical format, see, I keep on making loopholes, is the retro X-Men series, what they're bringing out, miniseries, and some X-Men titles, some of the miniseries as well. So this is set in the Fall of X, but you don't need to read the Fall of X to enjoy it. And basically, it's focused on the classic Alpha Flight team, and they've been hired by the Canadian government to round up all the mutants. And there's a good twist at the end, and I won't say any more. But yeah, really enjoyable. Ed Brisson, he's the writer who does Batman Incorporated. Really solid writer. Like I said, interesting art. Love that cover, very classic cover. And yeah, it feels like classic Alpha Flight. I really hope that they do make this team carry on, and it's an ongoing series. I really enjoy this. It really pisses me off in Marvel is that everything they bring out now is miniseries or 12 issues. But yeah, I would give this a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Highly recommended. And like I said, I'm not following Fall of X, you don't need to for that one. And then talk about the retro X-Men series. There's Magneto by James DeMatteis and Todd Nowak. And this is set around the late 80s incarnation of the New Mutants when Magneto was the headmaster. And it should really be called New Mutants or Magneto and the New Mutants because it is very New Mutant centric, and it's pitch perfect. It really captures that feel. I mean, the New Mutants in that time period was my favourite comic in the 80s of Marvel. I absolutely adored that comic. So I think this will appeal more to people who've got a fondness for that period of mutant history. If you haven't, if you're like a child of the 90s and 2000s, it won't mean anything to you, but for me, it pressed all the right nostalgia buttons. Very well written. Todd Nowak's art in it is really, really nice. It's. I don't want to reveal too much because, but I would recommend you to read. I think it's either 4 or 5 issues. If you like the classic New Mutants from the 80s and 90s before Rob Liefeld came on, get this. It's well worth reading. It's a fun read, really entertaining. I'd give it about a 7.5 out of 10. And then one which took me, wasn't intended to buy this, but I've been having a real anime period at the moment. So I got Robotech Rick Hunter. So this is set in the Robotech universe. It's from Titan, by Easton and Ragazzino. I don't know much about Robotech. I read the last thing I read of theirs was back in the 80s, and that was from Kamiko, or however you say it. But yeah, it's set in that universe. So if you like things like Gundam and stuff like this, it pushes all the buttons for that. Really, and what I do like about it, you don't really need to know a lot about it because they have like 2 pages at the beginning before the story, recapping the whole history of Robotech, but in a fun, accessible way. And it's about this guy Rick Hunter. He's like the hero of Earth, and they're basically fighting these alien invaders. And Robotech are these big like Gundam type of machines, what they fly. And yeah, fun, really nice, like manga-esque artwork. I would give that about a 7 out of 10. I definitely will be trying it again. And then I got the finale of Knight's Terror's Night's End. Unfortunately, I left it a bit late, so I had to pay an extra £1 and get the cardstock cover. But nice cover. But I feel a bit didn't want to do that. I just wanted to get the basics time with the rest of them. But yeah, it ties up the Night's End storyline nicely. I'm glad I ended up buying this, and it's got a nice artwork by Howard Porter, Josh Williamson, of course, writing it. And I really hope they bring Deadman back as a character in his own comic. One of my favourite DC characters, and this comic was a fun read, good conclusion, glad I got it, 8 out of 10. You might be thinking, why are you giving high races? Because I only buy what I like. If I don't like it, I stop it. But I thought, now one comic I did say I was stopping was Batman by Chip Zdarsky. But the Gotham War has lured me in. So I've got Batman, Catwoman, Gotham War battle lines. This sets the stage for the crossover event. Unfortunately, it's just tied into Batman and Catwoman. I enjoyed the storyline was okay. Artwork in this by Hawthorne, Mike Hawthorne, is it? Awful. It's not that it's bad. It's just, I don't know. It's ugly. He makes Catwoman look like she's in her 50s. Just weird angle shots for heads and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't like Mike Hawthorne's artwork. It's like who's the Marvel artist? There's a Marvel artist who did a bit of Wolverine. I can't remember now, but yeah, he's just just does the job basically. But you think from Batman title, get a good artist, and so it pulled me out of the story a bit. The storyline's okay. It's basically about Catwoman's got her way of solving the crime problem in Gotham, and Batman's got his. And basically, while Batman's been in a coma for a few weeks, Catwoman's like been training up all these henchmen who normally work for people like Two-Face, Riddler, and that lot, to just do small crimes without hurting anybody. And so her way of looking at it is that the lesser of two evils is to let them just do the normal like robberies, etc., but only stealing from rich people, and to cut down on the serious crimes like murder, rape, etc., stuff like that. But of course, Batman's all against it, and he's still this Sir Noir, whatever it's called, persona is still like trying to play with Batman's reality and really messing his head up. I don't like how Chip Zdarsky writes Batman. I don't like how he's given him what I don't get is he's given this artificial hand, whereas if you go and read Detective, which is a fantastic comic, he's just got his normal hand. There's no mention of losing a hand. So the only way I can enjoy Batman with Chip Zdarsky is by viewing him not as Batman, but as like this Elseworlds Batman, because he doesn't know Batman. I don't think he's got a good voice for Batman. Ram V gets him. Ram V gets it. It's Batman the detective. It's grounded. It's rooted. He had his supernatural elements, but it still feels very grounded in the Batman lore. Whereas this is just, hey, let's get some crazy ideas and fling them out and see what happens. So we move on to the next one in the Gotham War. This is part 2. Jimenez is back on the artwork. Chip Zdarsky's still writing it. Nice artwork. But Chip Zdarsky, I don't like his Batman. But I'm reading it because I actually enjoy Catwoman. So I got the Catwoman trade paperbacks because I missed a few issues. I thought I'd get trade paperbacks, and I got the current 6 issues in comic form as well. And I think Tina Howard, she does a great Catwoman comic, really fun crime comic. But Chip Zdarsky does not know how to do a good Batman comic. It's a comic, and it's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's crazy. But it's not got Batman's voice. In fact, when I'm reading it, I'm just thinking it's Rorschach. You know, the guy from Watchmen. Because he keeps going, before every sentence, and it's like, oh my God, come on. So, I'd love for Batman to get back to how it used to be, where it's like in the days of Alan Grant and people like that, where there's like 2-issue arcs where it was a mystery and they solved it. And it's a good crime book. But this, I don't know what it is. I'm going to carry on with it. I like the artwork. Like I said, I like Tina Howard on Catwoman. But I don't like Chip Zdarsky's voice on Batman. So I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. Oh, the Gotham War, I'll give a 7 out of 10. And then we move on to Night Country, The Glass House, number 4, by James Tynion, the 4th, and Sandro Estran. Really gorgeous artwork in this. But there was a huge gap for about 2 or 3 months because they had the Festly special in between. So I lost track where I'm up to with the characters. Gorgeous artwork. But I'm thinking getting a bit jaded with James Tynion with some of his stuff. He's clever, but this is a bit soulless, which is a bit strange for Sandman. It normally plays with emotions, and this doesn't. It's just like an exercise in how to be clever in writing. So I'll give that a 6 out of 10. But I've only got 2 more issues, so I think we'll carry on and just finish it. Then we've got Local Man, the Gold Special. So that's the normal cover, and on the flip side, it's got the tribute to the classic Image and Valiant crossover. It was a fun read, but for me, I'm a bit tired of all these intercompany crossovers. It's a clever idea. It's great seeing the old 90s Image characters joining Local Man. But I preferred Local Man with just the normal story, so I'd give this a 6.5 out of 10. But it's not made me want to stop Local Man. I'll carry on with it because it is a fun comic. But I just thought that was an exercise in just being clever and just having a gimmick of crossing over with all these other Image characters. But it was okay, 6 out of 10. And then we've got Conan number 2. Not keen on the cover, but the artwork inside is fantastic. Some of the best art of the month so far. Zeb Wells, Jim Zub, doing the art, the writing as well. Who's the artist? It's Rob Delatorre, and the artwork is, like I said, it's some of the best artwork of the month. Got a very John Buscema feel to it, very classic Conan feel. The story's really good, it's just a high quality sword sorcery comic. If you like Conan, you'll love this. It's the best Conan comic they've had in years. I give that a 8 out of 10. And then World Tree number 5. I think there's going to be a little break for a bit. This sets the ground for the next story arc. Really good twist in this, which was revealed in the last issue. But this reminds me a bit of Dollhouse, where Dollhouse did this leap into the future to show what would have happened with what's been set in place, and this does the same thing with the World Tree storyline. Great art. The paper quality of the Wurzel comic has improved again, because last month it felt very weird, felt very subpar, the paper, which put me out to reading the comic. But yeah, really enjoyed this. 8.5 out of 10. But like I said, last show, I think there's going to bring a book, the collection of the first 5 issues coming out soon, if you missed it. And then the number 6 is coming out in the next few months. And then I got Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville number 1, Small Town Big Trouble, Terry Dodson cover. I think by Joe and Starrer, and artworks by Bustos. Told you I've had some wine. Feels like I'm in slow motion. Natasha Bustos. The artwork's okay. It's got that kind of YA indie comic kind of feel. So basically, it's Fire and Ice as you knew them from the Justice League period, from the 80s and 90s. So they moved to Smallville, and it's got like the trappings of a sitcom, slice of life comic. It's almost like I forgot what it's called. No, it's gone. But anyway, so it's like rural Americana. So it's like 2 superheroes feeling out of place in small town Americana, basically trying to rebuild their life. And that's it. I was hoping to enjoy it more than I did. There was not many laughs in it, to be honest. The only thing that I enjoyed was the last page, and the reason I enjoyed it is because it features my very, very favourite character of DC. So the bastards might have made me go back and want to buy the next issue just because of that one character, if you realise what I mean. But the story itself was okay. 6 out of 10. And then Birds of Prey number 1 by Kelly Thompson. Her first DC work in a long, long time. Don't know if she's done DC before. And artwork by artist who did Hawkeye with her. And that is Leonardo Romero. And the artwork, it's also got colouring by Jody Belair. The artwork is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at that splash page. The motion in that is just amazing. Artwork and storyline blends perfectly. This is how you do a superhero team comic. It's one of the most exciting comics I've read in a long time. DC are knocking it out of the park at the moment, taking risks and chances. And long may Kelly Thompson stay on this book. Long may Romero stay on the artwork, and Joe Blair on the colour. The colour's got a very like Human Target kind of style of colouring, where it's like a retro, so there's like a lot of block colours on it. For some people it might throw them out a bit, but for me I loved it. It fit the whole tone of the comic. Great superhero / crime comic. Basically doing the jobs what other superhero scenes won't do. And I think it's going to be like on a rotational basis. Each storyline, Diana Lance will have a different team of Birds of Prey working for her. 9 out of 10. This could be a 10 out of 10 actually. I'll say 9.5 out of 10. But I've loved every bit of it. So, no, sod it, fuck it. 10 out of 10. Perfect comic. Go and buy it, you'll love it. And then we got, talking about perfect comics, this fills the Spider-Man gap. This fills the Firestorm gap. This fills the young hero feel-good comic gap. And this is Blue Beetle, the ongoing series, #1, by the same team who did the miniseries. I mean, he did the cover as well. That cover is just beautiful. I love it. It's great. It's fun. I had a smile on my face reading it all the way through. Glad I decided to go with it. There's a bit. I can't really go into too much detail because there's a bit at the end where you're like, oh. And it did leave me a bit, ooh, no, what are they going to do? But yeah, really, they capture the personality of Jaime Reese so well. The artwork and writing blend so perfectly together. It's a fun, cool, young superhero comic, and it's a breath of fresh air. 8 out of 10. Definitely one that I'll be carrying on with for a long time. I couldn't imagine if that team stays on. Then Green Lantern #3, Sinestro will pay. Better than the first 2 issues. First 2 issues, I'm not the biggest Jeremy Adams fan. So I'm just going to look for a tissue. I could feel candles coming on. I'm not the biggest Jeremy Adams fan. I know a lot of people like his Flash run, but I just found his Flash run a bit sickly. And the Green Lantern one, first 2 issues, the artwork I thought was gorgeous, but I just don't think he got the voice of Hal Jordan. He came across a bit like a toxic jock kind of personality, thinking like he was entitled still to go out with Carol. Is it Carol? Anyway, the one becomes Star Sapphire, but yeah. So yeah, and he just had this hey, I'm a Green Lantern kind of vibe. Look at me, aren't I brilliant? Fortunately, he's toned that down a bit now in this issue. But I think the reason I enjoy this more, focus more on the villains, on Sinestro. Sinestro, he's written a very cool Sinestro, a major league villain now. Yeah, so it's good. The artwork is impeccable. Backup story by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and forgotten the artist of John Stewart. Really good. Looking forward to the new series that's coming out this month. But yeah, this definitely upped the game compared to the first 2 issues, and I will be carrying on with it. It's getting there. I think I will end up enjoying Hal Jordan in this, and I give this an 8 out of 10. And then we got issue 2 of J. Michael Straczynski's and Aiko's The Madness. This is the best thing J. Michael Straczynski might have ever written, I think. Wow. It is hardline superheroes. This has the shock factor of The Boys, but done in a very mature, grown-up way, whereas The Boys is just more like, hey, let's have somebody being disemboweled just for the shock value. They do it in this for impact and to get a particular point across, and it's part of the story. It's just perfect. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous, but the storyline, it's great. You forget that Michael Straczynski is a guy nearly in his 70s now. This could be written by one of the new young bloods who like license up the sales with the latest hot Image comic or whatever. But it's just great. It's a very dark superhero comic, but compelling as well. I'm a bit disappointed it's only 6 issues. Actually, I hope they make more of this. One of the best superheroes comics I've read in a long time. It has a very Rick Veitch kind of feel to it in the storytelling kind of way, where Rick Veitch like deconstructs superheroes and like takes away all the glam. This is what they've done with this. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Fantastic comic. It's only on the second issue, so I'm sure you'll be able to get the first issue. Highly, highly recommend this. A winner there from AWA, and that's The Madness #2. And then we have Dawn of DC's Shazam issue 3. So this is by Dan Mora, Mark Waid. I enjoyed it. For second issue, I was like thinking I might stop it because it didn't really do much for me. But this one, I'm getting into the voice of it now. It's just fun. And Dan Mora's artwork is impeccable. So 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's a good, light-hearted superhero comic. And then we got the final issue, which I didn't know about. I was very upset. I thought it was going to be an ongoing, but it said given hints that it could come back in another format. Batman Incorporated #12 by Ed Brisson and John Sims on the artwork. If they're going to go out, they might as well go out in style and have done with this. But I do feel like it needed 2 more issues to really delve into the storyline. Felt like it's wrapped up just too neatly. So this was the Joker War, and there's like a big hammer of fate that's hanging over the Batman Incorporated scene, where they had the option to save these people. They're going to save these people if they killed these people who work for Joker Incorporated. And of course Batman says you can't kill, whereas the current line of Batman's who knows, he might kill now. But they managed to find a way around it. But it does have repercussions. But I felt it was a bit too tidy how it got tied up. Like I said, I think it needed 2 more issues to delve into it more. So for that reason, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And also for the fact that I'm really obsessed it's finishing. But great writer, great artist, great series. If you've not got the series, wait for the books and do get them. It's really been a really good series, been a good ride. And I've got Dane Street #9. Love that cover. By Tom King and Jose Fornes. Dave Stewart on the colouring. What did I read? I don't know what I read. I honestly don't know what I read. But I enjoyed it. It was like I was reading Shakespeare. I don't know. This comic irritates me, confuses me, amuses me, and captivates me. So it contradicts all my emotions with this comic. Parts of me hates it, but the parts that love it outweighs the parts that hates it. And I can't give you a description of what's going on because I don't know. Well, it's compelling reading. So for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Do not ask me to summarise it because I can't. And then we have #2 of a Texas Blood spin-off, the Enfield Gang Massacre, Western set in the 1870s, I think. Wow. 10 out of 10. If you're not buying this, you're stupid. You're a fucking moron. Either that you're a Marvel zombie. But you need to buy this. 10 out of 10 across the board. Great art, great paper stock, great lettering, great storytelling. Just a fantastic hard-boiled Western. Love it. Can't wait for the next issue. And then finally, Dark Ride issue 8. This is great, but it's very staggered. The next issue's not out until November. So it feels like you're having to play catch up each time. Like, oh yeah, what happened? Because there's a big gap between issues. They're ending up more like a bi-monthly comic now. But $3.99, really nice heavy cardstock cover, very high quality paper. The artwork, as you can tell by the cover, is amazing. So as I mentioned before, it's a dark spin of Disneyland. Basically, they've done a Disney World, but it's horror based, and so that's like the tag of it, and a lot of supernatural goings on happen within it, and it focuses on the horror parks owners' children, and how this park is having effects on their families and their lives, and the people who work there as well. No idea where it's going to end up going, but it's good. It's a good, solid horror comic. 8 out of 10. So that's it. I'm going to do another video in a bit, looking at I don't know if it's a hidden gem, but it's a book. I'm torn between two, so I might end up doing two, but two books from the 80s. So 80s goodies, two 80s goodies that you need to buy. Okay, bye.